Hello, everyone, and welcome to the paddock. My name is Henrik.
And my name is Sierra, and we are going over our predictions for the rest of the season of Formula 2.
And this championship is way more open than F1 Academy, that's for sure.
Very much so. So who do you think's taking it? Do you think it's step back? So it was announced that Zane Maloney is going to Formula E. So he will no longer be in the contention for the Sauber seat coming next year.
No,
Thoughts?
I don't. I don't like it, but I don't really mind it either. Of course, I would like to see him drive alongside Nico Hülkenberg. I think those would make a very good combination, both on and off track. But you can't have everything.
I mean, at least he has a drive secured. Not a lot of the other, even though it's in a different category, not a lot of the other drivers have that. So, I mean, of course, you have Ollie going to Haas. You have Kimi going into Mercedes next year. So, yes, you do only have two rookies going up, and I mean, we'll have three rookies on the. We'll have officially three rookies on the grid next year with Jack Doohan, and we're all suspecting to have four with Liam Lawson going into the V Carb and or the Red Bull seat. But it's good to see that he is able to get a seat and he's not going to be in the wings waiting. Maybe I would have liked to see him in do another season in F2, but if he had to choose between sponsors, having the sponsors money to race in a sport and then have it being paid to race in a sport.
Yeah, that's a completely different thing. Of course, he did do a very good season a few years ago. I'm not gonna complain too much about that. So he
And
absolutely deserves it from my point of view. But if he were to get the V carb seat, I won't really mind that.
Are you talking about Lawson?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And we've seen Formula E drivers come in and do a stand-in, like look at Nick DeVries. I mean, it didn't work out well for Nick,
No.
but it's not like he's completely out. Zane's completely out of not getting onto the grid. Like there's still that chance for him to come back. I mean, it's a little harder, I think, now, but
Well, look at your little golden boy. Me being Alexander Albon, he had a clause in his Formula E contract which said that if he got an F1 offer, he would automatically take it.
exactly.
And look what happened to him. He started flourishing at Williams.
Well, he was in that's when he went to Red Bull first.
But after that, he started to flourish at Williams.
I mean, I can't say that Red Bull is a completely different system. I think he did better than Gasly in Red Bull.
Yeah, that's true. He wasn't the podium for them.
He should have won two races.
Here comes the Albon fangirl. Okay.
No, that's not even just the fangirl. If you watch the two races he should have won, he got freaking spun out twice by the same driver.
I'm just gonna lay back and relax now.
I mean, I'm not going more into it because I know who the driver is and the fan base there is its own thing, but there like the other race that he should have won back in I think it was the second race of Baku, but I mean, that was on him, but I'm saying he should at least have two wins on him in his record. That
Yep.
weren't his fault.
But do you think that what would have happened to the second seat at Williams if he had won those two races?
I don't know. It's a what if scenario.
Yeah. For one, I think they wouldn't have signed someone like Sainz to their team, which would be a very wrong step on their part, in my opinion. Of course, resident Carlos fanboy here, but again, I think that will be a good pairing to see the
Yeah.
two of them race.
All right, getting back to F2. We were still on F2 because we were talking about Zane and his Formula 3, but back to F2 finally. So as it stands, I'll give the top 4 since that's the closest. It's Bortoleto taking over after their last outing in Baku Baku with 169.5 points. Again, just give him a damn full point, whatever. It's Isaac Hadjar in 165 points. It's Zane Maloney in third with 135 points. And then it's Paul Aaron in fourth with 133 points. I would say that's probably who you're looking for, since we do only have 2 more weekends left. It's a sprint and a full feature race. So there still are a lot of points on the table, but I think it's a little hard for Crawford in 5th with 116 and Antonelli in 6th with 113 points to make a late surge to get there. It's not impossible, but it is very, like, if any of the top 3 or 4 have a DNF, it is very much game on for the 2 of them. Like, if either Jack or Antonelli were to win, it's still there, but I think if you're looking like an easier route, it's between the top 4, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that being said, Bortoletto's probably the closest to winning.
I mean, he's in the lead.
And the Campos hasn't really been the best for the second half of the season. If you don't know what I'm talking about, start watching Formula 2. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, Hadjar. I mean, Pepe's been having a really bad season to begin with, but that he is in his rookie year, so we can't, I won't fully fault him for that. Again, we do have it's a new car in general, so trying to get your head around that, which is why Ollie and Kimi had such a poor start to the beginning of the season.
And for that reason, my heart is crying.
Hey, both have seats next year. Both Prema drivers have a seat next year.
Yeah, but still, I'm a fanboy. I'm gonna say that until my deathbed.
But yeah, it seems like Hadjar and Aaron kind of are like on standstills. More Hadjar at this point. Bortoletto, of course, it's his rookie season, so his races in the beginning, definitely him getting around the car, getting used to it. He seemed to really come into his own probably after his win in Barcelona, in Spielberg over Aaron.
So that kind of bumped Aaron down a peg in many respects.
And then just going over the top 4 races, you had Hadjar. He didn't score great in like the first 2 races. I mean, he scored 5 points in the sprint and then didn't score anything in the feature race, and then didn't score anything in Jeddah. But he was the most consistent about winning. He won then in Melbourne, he won in Imola, he won, and then was just consistent. And of course, he won in Spa, which is where we were like, is this championship wrapped up? But then since Monza, he's scored nothing.
And as you kind of alluded to, he has had a string of these horrendous weekends after Monza, which is a real shame. I want him to do well. I want him to have a drive somewhere for next year.
I mean, I feel like if anything, he's going to be the reserve driver in Red Bull after this year, since Red Bull's reserve driver now will probably be in a seat, Liam Lawson.
Of course, I don't want to see Hadjar in the F1 system anymore, but I still want him to have a drive somewhere else so that he can wreak havoc in that series.
Hadjar's personality is not my cup of tea either, so
nope,
I will not fault you there.
Nope, that was why I said it. I want him to have a drive elsewhere and not in the Red Bull family or the F1 system for that matter. But
moving on to Zane, he was probably the most explosive out the gate in terms of getting the most points. He took the first win this season and then kind of stuttered off with the most inconsistency out of the top 4. Of course, he didn't score. He did get second in Monza, which helps him get back in the fight. But like Hadjar, he didn't score anything in Baku. One was due to his own fault, where he was battling with one of the top lead and then misjudged and went into the runoff. So
Yes, and of course I'm really happy for Maloney that he got the Formula E drive.
Hmm.
So that's very well done on his part. That being said, I won't really say too much about that.
And finally, my boy, Paul Aaron. The man was so consistent, didn't win, but was consistently scoring podiums throughout the first 7 races, and then Silverstone kind of happened, and reliability issues happened in both Budapest and Spa, and then of course he was taken out in both the race and the sprint in Monza. And then he did score in Baku. He did get some points, not a lot, but to hear that if he can't get a drive, that he's done, like he can't even do, like, because again, this is his rookie season as well, so he can't even, the sponsors he has, he can't even go back after this.
No, and of course he lost the Mercedes affiliation, which was really bad. And in his case, he needed that probably. I don't really know.
I mean, does he, with Antonelli going to Merck next year, do they re-sign him? Do you, like, he's too much of a talent to not be on the grid. Yes, he hasn't won yet, which maybe is why, especially like in that first 7 races, maybe that's why like no team really reached out to him. But
Mhm.
I still think he out of all of the ones on the F2 grid is probably the one where I'm like, this kid is special.
Yep.
And he doesn't, I mean, they're all special, don't get me wrong, but this kid was so consistent. Yes, he didn't win, but he was so consistent, and then the car just kind of fit. Like, there were some of his own errors, don't get me wrong, but
Mm.
reliability seemed to be the one to hamper him the most, especially in Spa.
Yes, and as we all know, Spa is brutal. It doesn't forgive mistakes. It's very punishing. So
I
I
mean, of
can't
course,
really fault him for that.
yeah, and of course, we didn't really have a Spa sprint because it got rained out, so he didn't really have a chance to make his way through the field in that one. I mean, the consolation prize, I guess I'll say, is that he was able to score at least 2 points in Spa. Yes, he was in second at the time, second or third. I think it was second when his car decided to literally die. But
So yeah, I'm really sorry for him, and shame on Mercedes for letting him go. I won't really forgive them for that.
all right, so out of the top 4, who do we think wins?
It's between Bortoleto and Aron at this point, I believe.
Bortoleto and Hadjar are the top 2 with
Yes.
169.5 and then 165. Zane and Aaron are the outliers in my opinion, with Zane at 135 and Aaron at 133.
Right. Of course, we all know what Saint Maloney has done and can do. So I'm gonna rearrange a little bit. So I'm gonna say that Hajar ends up in 4th, Maloney 3rd, Bortoleto 2nd, Aaron 1st.
Okay. I mean, I'm all for that. Like, if he can win the last 4, like, go for it. I'm cool with that.
So if you want to hear my logic, I'm thinking that Hajar were to DNF all 4 races.
I mean, his qualifying has just been crap the last couple races.
Yeah, so he can either DNF or not score points for the remainder of the races and qualify horribly, of course. And Saint Meloni, I think, is fully capable of scoring those points with a setup that suits him very well. Probably something like Jeddah spec or something like that, where he performed very well. For Bortoleto, I think the success has gone to his head and he will probably let his guard down for that reason. And for Aaron, I think he is very angry and wants to prove what he is capable of.
It should also be made note that we are going to Qatar for their next race. This will be a level playing field for the whole grid in general, since this will be the first time. So does that change your opinion at all?
No. If anything, it strengthens it, really.
So you're saying Aaron wins, Bortoletto in second, Zane stays in third, and then Hajar goes down to fourth.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. I agree with some of the points.
All
I
right.
think Hajar does drop to fourth. I think we've seen his emotional outbreaks over the races, and I think that is affecting him. I mean, if you look since Spa, it's affected him.
Well, not even Spa. I'm tempted to say Monza.
Well, I'm saying they came back from Spa. I'm not going to say anything about the person because I don't know him, but I just think he is a mixture of Ocon and Verstappen in the worst ways, at least from what we see. So I
Yes.
think he tries to be so aggressive and then it backfires and then he doesn't know how to cope with that. And I understand he's young. It's a learning thing, but it's what defines in these lower categories winners and champions. Like there is that dynamic you have to go about.
And if you want a visual proof of both of those things, you just look at the Verstappen DNF in Australia and Monaco, as I said. If you want to look at both of those things in practice, look at the Verstappen DNF in Australia and his Ocon in Monaco.
I mean, even Hajar in Monaco he got second, but the way that race ended, it was like I can't describe it in words. It was embarrassing for me, and I'm not even a driver. I'll say that.
It was very embarrassing, even to someone, for someone like me. Of course, I'm not a driver. I'm not this engineer type person, but I know what F2 is capable of doing, and I know what kind of driver should be there.
All right, so continuing on with, again, who I think how this kind of plays out. Again, I think Hajar does go down to fourth. I think Aaron goes to third. He only goes up one place. And it's not down to Aaron. It's more down to the car and how I feel on that car is more inconsistent than the others. Then I would say Zane and then Bortoletto. And I say Bortoletto because he is still in the race for the other Salva seat. So, and he seems to keep a level head. I mean, look at Monza as the example due to the fact that he was starting last because he did mess up in qualifying. Now, again, it was safety cars, but Monza were used to safety cars, so it is a little bit of luck there. But the fact that he did stay calm and then was still able to win from being last, I think that shows that he is level-headed when it comes to what he needs to do in the race. That I don't see that changing in the next two races, unless he DNFs in both races or gets taken out or whatever. But if he's on the grid to start and makes it through the race, I don't see him not scoring points.
Okay, he could DNF in Qatar, which is a 50-50 chance, really.
We don't know what's going to happen in that race. No one knows.
No, of course not. But Qatar is one of the more physical tracks, and if he doesn't like those tracks, then of course we don't know. But if he doesn't like any of those tracks, then the championship back on.
I mean, it's been on. We can say it's been on for a while after we thought it wasn't.
Yeah, so championship on, championship off, championship on again. So
this one's been the weird. I mean, I guess F1's doing the same thing right now, where we thought it was off after the first 7 races, and then.
So F1 has been more like off, on, more like that.
Kind of, yeah. just going over the team standing quickly, you have Invicta Gaming or Racing, not gaming, Racing, in first with 243 points. You have that is of course Bortoletto's team. You have Compost in second with 208, and then you have MP Motor at 181.5, and then it's probably between those two. It's probably between Invicta and Campos, just because they're both in the 200s. And again, we do only have 2 races left of the season. For people who are wondering our premise is, they are in fourth with 169. Nice. I'm sorry. I had to.
Oh, our little editor is gonna have a field day with this one.
I haven't cursed. I just was reading the points. I can't help that they decide to have that point tally.
But still.
We're mature. If you don't get the reference, you don't
I
get
know.
the reference.
I know.
I'm saying for our audience. All right. Do we have anything else to discuss in F2?
Do we? Yeah. Of course,
Maybe-
we have Qatar, which that'll be fun.
Yeah. I have a feeling it might be not the greatest, but that's in terms of heat. I think on track it will be nice, but like a good race to watch, because you can overtake, even with, we saw that with the F1 cars last year. But I think even though we're going later in the year, so it shouldn't be as hot, I still feel like it's gonna be hot. Like it's gonna be. I know last year it was worse than Singapore. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, but I think it'll be up there.
Yeah, of course, we all know what happened last year. The mandatory three stopper, and
every driver basically dying coming out of their car.
Yeah.
I think the only person that didn't was Alonso and then Lewis, but that's because Lewis crashed in the first corner with George, and then Alonso's been on the grid for forever, so he's just used to all the extremes.
Well, Alonso has basically been on the grid since the beginning of time.
Basically, but he's our rookie. He's our rookie forever.
Yeah.
But I think that does it for our predictions of F2 for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to give us your opinion either at our socials at @the_product or at the pit lane, which is in the description of our podcast on any listening platform. So feel free to drop us a question, a comment, your opinion, a review.
And if you want to fight, you can do that as well, of course.
We might not read those online, but you know.
No, but if you want to fight, we will of course fight you for it.
We will take valid opinion. Well, not everybody's opinion is valid. We will take the not super combative.
Yep, not too controversial, but they can be controversial, of course.
I mean, I think everybody has their own controversial opinion.
I'm gonna shut up about that now.
Yeah, really. But that does it. We will catch you later on our review or our predictions for F1 for the last 6 races. But otherwise, take it easy, guys, and have a good one.
Yep.